So, good morning. Oh good lord. Sorry for those who have seen like a 2-second stream or something. I'm still new to the YouTube streaming, so yeah, I had some issues with the setup. So sorry for that. Yeah. So today I was asked, hello Kevin, hello SREE, how are you doing? So I was asked to do, or if I could do a Angular 17 stream, because I covered already on Twitch a bunch of things, a bunch of features from Angular 17, but I've never done like this complete stream where we basically go through all the Angular 17 features. So let's go ahead, and probably the way I thought we will do that is we will do some live, yeah, we will do a lot of examples, but also some other stuff. I'm doing good. What are we going to work today? Yeah, so today Angular 17 documents code private. Let's do a ng version, ng new, let's just call it A17. We will not go with server-side rendering for the first examples. Can you upload Twitch videos into YouTube? I usually do that. I don't do it for all the videos. I do it for the ones where I think there is like value in watching it, or how to say, where the flow was kind of good. Because then I also have videos where I just play around with stuff and then I struggle and I have to figure out things, and I don't know if that's so interesting for you guys to watch or not. Like, I think not. Some people think it is. But yeah, I didn't upload everything. But now I generally, anyway, think I will stream more on YouTube, I guess. So, how are we going about this? So, Angular 17, I think the Angular team itself had a great block. Angular block. Introducing Angular 17, this is so bright. This is way too bright. So I have this extension Dark Reader, which allows you to basically read it in a better way, right? In a better way, in a more relaxing way for your eyes. So yeah, we have that. Let's also open. Notice that I have the early access version of the IntelliJ, so of WebStorm, because the early access version already provides built-in support for the control flow. The current version that is out yet doesn't do it. So A17. Good, here we are. I think I'm still zoomed in. That's also a cool feature that I learned on the JetFrames webinar. You have this zoom in feature. If I could type zoom. So you can say my ID is at 100%, so that would be the original size, right? But if you want to share something, then you can basically start to zoom in. How did I do it? So let's say we go to 125. I think that's a cool feature. It's better than the presenter mode that I have. So yeah, introducing Angular 17, post by Minko. So we had Angular 17, and as you can see, obviously it was about the Angular Renaissance, it was about the whole rebranding, it was about new logo, right? That's about it. That's what Angular 17 is about. It's not just about like having all these great new features, it's also about making it visual that those features are now there. So, what do we have here? Deferrable views, of course, we will check that out. Building control flow in public benchmarks is up to 90% faster. So I've even seen stats that make Angular, in terms of like, with stats you always have to be a bit careful because you can change stats and you can interpret them differently, but technically Angular is now the fastest framework out there from the bigger ones, right? From React, Swell, all those things. But let's see. Faster builds for hybrid rendering, for client-side rendering, yes. Fresh new look, brand new interactive learning journey, and dozens of features and improvements. We will also focus on more on the smaller features. As we said, new logo. It's pretty cool, but it's also a bit harder to basically customize because getting this gradient correct is quite hard. So, future-looking documentation, if you haven't seen that, angular.dev, that's the new Angular site with this amazing scrolling animation, right? So that's pretty cool. The new docs, they have like new nice tutorials, even some tutorials where you basically have like something like an integrated stack blitz. It looks like stack blitz, but it's not stack blitz. So yeah, that's something that we got. Then built-in control flow. So let's take a look at that. How do we go about this? Let's do a new directory, control flow, and we do a new file. Which is a component, standalone, selector, app control flow, template URL. Should we go inline? No, we go with a dedicated template. I think makes sense. Boom, control flow component. We go to the app component. Add that to the imports array, go up, remove that, say app control flow self-closing tag, because we can now use self-closing tags, right? And then we of course need a new file, control flow. Also now, I'm not so sure if I like this yellow one here. Maybe I have to adjust scroll because this seems to be, somehow it's cool, you immediately know the changed files, but somehow it's a bit brutal. So I have to adjust my mic a bit because it's sitting at an angle where I cannot see. How did we call it? A17? Yes. Started. So good. We have our application with a nice test here underneath the Angular logo. So now, what we were doing in the past is basically we were saying, so we could have a div. And on the div we would do ngIf let's go like this, ngIf best club, then of course this best club or let's go through, so we would have that. And ngIf best club, so that should now be wired. If I would do it in the right component. So we have ngIf best club. ngIf has to be imported, so we add it to the imports array of our standalone component. And then we could say we have if it's best club. I mean, there is probably no discussion that we have to put Real Madrid in here. And this would be a else template. And in the else template we put Barcelona. If Ilir would be here, then I would put AC Milan. But how was it else? I don't remember how it was. Else template, I think something like that. Does this have to be come here? I never do ngIf else in the template. Do I quickly have to Google that? Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, it's else. Yeah, of course, makes sense. I should do. It's still early. Also, what I like in the EAP version really is that they have the modern logo already for all the Angular stuff in there, which is pretty cool. So let's also drop in a toggle button. And we say on click, we toggle, we say the best club is equal to not the best club. So if you would now start that, we can see that we toggle Real Madrid and Barcelona. Cool. Of course, this is okay, but what about this? Look at this. This is so nice with the ad and the logo in front. If best club, so we go more standard, Real Madrid, else Barcelona. Is there add else? Same behavior. Oh, it's right below that Angular logo I see. So let's go in and maybe let's do on our body, we add a padding top of 50 pixels so that we move it down. Now we are under the Angular logo, so we are good. So yeah, that's nice. And which one do you prefer in terms of readability? This one or this one? And it even gets crazier. Let's say we have then, so that would be the ng files, right? Let's go one step further where we have like, here we would have a club name. Can be, which is a type, and it can be Real. New control flow is nice, yes it is. And now in the switch we will see how it's even nicer. Real, Barca, whatever. Milan. And of course we start with Real. So what we would do is, how was this? How was it used in the past? Like we had, I never used this ng switch. I never remember. You see, I would remember the new syntax, even though, yeah, ng switch, it's like this. Yeah, you do some container and then you do the ng switch. So we have to import that and then we say club name. That should probably be not a string, right? Should be like this. And then we do a div and we say ng switch case. Yeah, import that. Import ng switch case. Do I have to do here like club name? I think here I can just say like Real, right? Barca, so we have Real, Barca, Milan. Hi guys, hi Margaret Okpor, how are you doing? And then we can even have a default case, but again, we have to import that. we would have a button where we say on click we do club name equals to real. Same for Barca. Nice. So that's right, the ng switch case. I'm fine. Good to hear. That's good. So yeah, but you see how this is kind of, I think here the readability is not so bad, to be honest. I think the readability is kind of cool, but still, I don't like that you have to import everything. But now let's see how we can do that. Because you saw how basically I didn't use that much during my work time, but still it was not so intuitive for me to use. Like I still had to figure out, okay, I have to put the ng switch on top, switch case. And this one I never used at work. So let's see if I can get this without even searching the doc. Because this is so close to JavaScript. So I would say I have a switch club name, and then I do a add case, and I put in real here. Yes. Same, and then I guess there's an add default. And it's exactly working the same, right? And I think that's pretty cool because I don't really have to learn too much about the specifics, the specific directives. I mean, this is also kind of straightforward, but I think this is even easier. Cool. So, and here, readability. For me, this is easier to read, but now let's go with some further cool examples with for. Because what we had, like let's say we have a list of clubs again, and what we did in the past was we had, for example, a unordered list, and then inside here we had list items with a ng4 let club of right, something like that. And then we were displaying the clubs. And now the cool thing is with for, we can do it like this. Always make sure to check what AI gives you, because this is wrong now. And AI will always put a let in front, so which is wrong. And now we can see this nice error here, which is that the for loop now must have a track function. So what you need here is a track function, not track by. It's track, and you can use $index when you don't have like anything specific, right? Usually if you have an object, you would do object.id. So if we would have like an array of objects, we would do object.id. And in the past you could also do that, but you would need to do this track by my track, whatever, and that was a function that you had to provide here, and that took in the index. The second one we didn't even need, and you were returning the index here. And that was how you did it in the past, right? And now this is basically mandatory. Another cool thing that is also there now is a add placeholder, add empty. And empty, you can basically display something if the list is empty. So no clubs. And then we could basically say we start with this.clubs. Yeah, no. Whatever. Never. So, and then you could do a button. What? And of course we have no clubs initially, and once we click, we add a bunch of clubs. So this is pretty cool, I would say. So that's kind of like the new control flow in a fast run. And also you have a bunch of variables available here. It's not just $index, it's $even. There are more. I think I've written about this. Oh, our page doesn't look too good in dark mode, I think. Oh, that's alright. There are more variables available, and the ones you have inside the for loops are this one. $index, $first, $last, $even, $odd. Those are the variables that you can just log out, or just use, right? That's pretty neat, pretty handy. Cool, so we have that. That's basically the new control flow. And now the cool thing is also that they have schematics. So let's say we will quickly take out or uncomment everything here. And now let's see how our control flow or how it will do. So, because I think schematics, let's also take this one without the track by, just to see the difference. Track by, my track, boom, this goes away. And let's remove all the new syntax, right? So that we have like a clear view of what the schematics will do. So this is a switch case, and that's that. Cool. So now let's go open up a terminal and ng, how is the command? I don't remember by heart. It's ng generate something. And here is basically this interesting table, how fast Angular became, right? Also now with the updates. ng generate at Angular core control flow. ng generate at Angular /core control flow, right? Yeah, I don't mind. So, as they say, it's in developer preview. I think the whole control flow is even in developer preview because they have some stuff that is still working a bit different. Is it doing something? Let's see, because I think it hangs. Okay, so he updated the control flow component HTML, the control flow component TS. Why the TS? That I don't get. Maybe he was just reformatting stuff. I mean, here I don't think anything changed. But let's see how he did in terms of migrating our stuff to the control flow. So the if else, perfectly fine. That seems to be working great. Switch case, amazing. Now here you can also see how he basically removes the spaces. So we had spaces here, but that's okay. I think that's okay. You can even tell him that he should not adjust the template. Then club of clubs, and he did track club, which is okay. That I would usually do index. But you see how we had our custom track by function, and that he just completely removed. Because what we had previously in one of those examples was track by with my track, right? And I would have expected that he does this, track, my track. But he just removed it and did his own. So that is something that you have to be aware of if you want to use that. But yeah. Give it a try. Yeah, we gave it a try. So what is next? The Prettier support, control flow with the latest language service. We work closely with JetBrains to enable better support. That's the support that we are seeing right here. It's this one. As you can see, Skoll also supports it. That's cool. Yeah, now I'm curious about Prettier. Does Prettier support it? So if I go here and do that, for example, and now I go ahead and I say Prettier, I don't even have to install. I could just do like Prettier -- right. Probably let's go ahead and add the package chase, maybe it's easier. Now, this isn't yet supported, I guess. What do they say here? To enable better support in their products, we are also in contact. Yeah, so I guess Quentin Momert, welcome to the stream. So I guess the Prettier support is about to come. I don't know if there's an official... Prettier 3.1. Really? Free 1 is out 18 days ago. And what did I install? 3.1. So I would expect that Prettier formats that, because doesn't Prettier also, if I have a div and inside here I have an h1, how does my package? Yeah, that makes sense. If I only so let's see. Here, you see it. This is formatted. This is still like this. I also thought that Prettier will format this. But if I go and do on the control flow this, I format right. Wow. Yeah, Prettier 3.1, yeah. Cool. So this is supported. That's nice. That's really nice. Then let's continue here in the blog. We have seen that. Yeah, I think that's basically everything that is there. We have covered the migration schematics. We have seen all of that, which is cool. So maybe next we will check deferrable views, I would say. So let's go here and let's do a new directory. Add deferrable view. We go with an inline template. Oh. So let's call this just an and let's also add a child. Or I don't know, we can also call it foo. Let's just call it foo. something like that. And the deferrable view component, of course, we have to add it to the import of the app component. Maybe IDE in front would be nice, I guess. No. I'm a big fan of self-closing tags. So we have our deferrable view. And now basically the idea here is that inside our deferrable view, we can have our child or the foo component. We called it foo. Now foo is displayed, right? But we can say that we only want to display foo, so we want to lazy load foo. Hi everyone, hi Chaos Monster, welcome to the stream. So we can say, the first thing that we can do is we can say add defer, and inside here we can give it a when, and we can basically use a boolean when I say so, basically, right? Is say so, I say so. So I say so false, and once we load, or once we click on our button, we can say I say so is equal to true. Note that toggling here would not help, because it's just once you load it, it's loaded. So it's not there. And the interesting thing is probably the network tab, because we load everything. And now if we click on load foo, we can see how we load the foo chunk, right? So that's then like pretty nice lazy loading that we have there. I think this is such a cool feature. I think it's an amazing feature. Like, then I think what you can do is also, instead of, you can say timer, I think they have a timer of 2 seconds, for example. So, isn't it timer? Unrecognized trigger. On, yeah, I think you have to use on whenever you want to use those triggers. So on timer, 2 seconds. So we have 1, 2, and then after 2 seconds, you can see how we load it. I would love to have access to the chunk file URL in the template though. Why? What would you want to do with that? So we have the on timer and we have a bunch of triggers. So basically we can use when, or we can use on. On idle is basically, yeah, when the browser is done with the heavy lifting. On immediate is just instantly, but it's still not blocking the browser. It's not the same as if you render it directly, right? On timer is what we've seen. You can pass in a time. On viewport, I think that's pretty cool, because on viewport is once it enters the view, which is amazing. So let's say we would have on viewport here, and let's make a amazingly nice blue div where you just use styles. Also these styles can now be a string, right? Previously we needed to have an array. And probably we should give it a width, otherwise it doesn't. So we are still cached on I thought it's like this on viewport. Because they say on viewport and on viewport ref. And what is here? Yeah, you need a placeholder. Otherwise, I've been waiting on Twitch for a few days and I'm wondering why you're not streaming. I forgot that some time ago you said that you would be streaming on YouTube now. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, because I'm still not sure if I should stream on Twitch or YouTube, to be honest. I even made like some polls on Twitter and people were more like in favor of YouTube somehow. And also I think somehow on YouTube it kind of, I don't know, it seems like more people tune into streams. But I'm not sure, somehow I like YouTube, somehow I like Twitch more. I don't know. I still have to decide, but probably I should decide for one and not say like one time I stream on Twitch and once on YouTube. But it seems like YouTube is probably the way to go. For me at least. So, as we see, also the error messages are pretty nice because it tells you like you should have a placeholder block. So that's the next thing, we can have a add placeholder, and in this placeholder we can do like a, I don't know, some h1 full component. And now it builds and we get that amazing nice blue div. And let's inspect the network tab because we initially load everything and now we scroll down, and as you can see, once our placeholder comes it gets replaced with the real thing, right? Which is cool. The other thing, if we don't use a placeholder, we could also probably say that this here is a full component, and I guess we can use a reference here. And then once our full component comes into view, maybe we shouldn't have called that twice full component, so this should be the ref. Once our reference comes into view, we basically load that, right? So again, full component is not loaded, and we can see how the reference comes and then full component gets loaded. So we can also reference here, which is pretty nice. Yeah, we can even prefetch on idle, so that would mean that you basically load the component but you don't show it yet. So you can do prefetch on idle. And now, if we do that, we can already see how this full chunk gets loaded because we are idle, but it doesn't get displayed. Then of course you can have like other stuff, like you can have on hover, which is basically again only possible with a placeholder. And what you would need is here, that would be the placeholder. So nothing gets loaded, right? Nothing, even if it's in the view, but once we hover, we can see how the component gets loaded. So I think that's pretty nice. There is also error handling and loading in deferrable views. That's something that they don't mention here in the blog, but they also have something at loading. So where you say, and you could do, yeah, what you had, AI loading, and here you can even give it a minimum of 2 seconds or something. I think that's the minimum that the loading will be displayed. So now we have our placeholder. I hover, you can see hold loading for 2 seconds, and then the full component will be displayed. And you can also display an error, and I think you can say, how was it? Let's see if we can find that on Angular def deferrable views, placeholder defer loading. So you can also give it like after 1 second. So that would be after 1 second we start loading. So I guess then we hover 1 second enough. What? Because we had loading, if we don't have that after 1 second. So we get loading for 2 seconds. It's here. So also here, look at this highlights of the code. That's amazing. Should be shown an amount of time. A minimum amount of time that this placeholder should be shown, and the amount of time to wait after loading begins before showing the loading template. This parameter exists to prevent fast flickering. Yeah, but I thought if I do after 1 second, so I would expect that the loading template only comes after 1 second. So why is now full component directly appearing? Also this blue div at the moment, it's a bit annoying because I want to have it. So it's directly loaded then. Let's read that again. An amount of time to wait after loading begins before showing the loading template. So we load it. Maybe it conflicts with the placeholder. Yes, maybe you're right. Let's see, because... But the placeholder is the one that hovers, right? And the full component is the one we load. So this should still work. And now we hover over. And I would expect that we see the minimum 2 seconds. So we should see basically that. 2 seconds we see the loading spinner, and then we see the full component. But maybe I misunderstand that after flag. Where was it? Loading. Defer large component loading after one. The loading blocks accepts 2. Yeah, so basically, the problem is that probably the component, I think the component is just too fast. So basically this basically says that you want to wait 1 millisecond and then you show the loading template. But I think that loading is just so... Let me say I go quickly on a slow 3G network. And I will go to 1 second here. So now I reload. You see how slow it is? It's super slow. Come on. Okay, that's insanely slow. You could, oh, I forgot your response. I've overseen your response. You could use it with a service worker to defer decisions based on if the file is cached or not. Yeah, you could do that. That's an interesting thought. So again, placeholder, and now 1 second we wait. Now we show loading, and now we show the foo component. So that was the issue. The foo component is just too little, so it loads almost instantly, right? But the problem is basically they should rename Slow3G to German network. That's a good one, yeah. I heard that in Germany, like in the trains, it's super slow and the network is basically unusable, but I don't know if it's true. Because I'm from Switzerland and here the network is pretty good even in the train. So we probably have better network in the train than the Germans at home. So, and then error is, of course, if it fails. I think we can even give it deferrable views, error. The error block allows it to declare content that will be shown if the deferred loading fails, similar to placeholder. Yeah. So how can we fake the error? Probably if I just load everything, right? So not on the German network, but on the normal one. And now basically I go offline. Then I get the error because our loading of the component fails. Yeah, and I'm not on time. Yeah, because here in Switzerland, and also sometimes we have the same with the Italians, like whenever you want to go home from work, there are these trains that basically, I think they are called ICE or something. So some trains are only going in Switzerland, they are always on point, but then sometimes you have the one that come from Germany, hold in Switzerland, go to Italy, and I sometimes had to take that train, and you could bet that that is almost always too late. So yeah, but I'm pretty surprised, you know, we as Swiss, we are like, if a train is 2 minutes late, we are like, oh my god, what is going on today? Like, why is the train so late? And then you get like in the newspapers, oh, train is too late and so on. So we are used to some other standards, I guess. So good. So that's basically deferrable views, right? Yeah, nice way to check the error. I was also thinking like, how do you check the error? But this just came to mind like spontaneously. So today we bring server-side rendering and static-side generation. Nice. So that's pretty. If I'm not mistaken, Angular is the only framework. So I'm not 100% sure, but from what I've seen, Angular is the only framework that can do SSR out of the box, right? Like, don't get me wrong, you can do SSR with Svelte, you can do SSR with React, all those kind of things, but you always require a meta framework on top. So with React you require Next.js, I think. With Svelte you require SvelteKit, but like you require meta frameworks. In Angular you can do SSR out of the box. So let's go ahead and do here like a ng-new A17 SSR, maybe one up, would make sense. Do you want to have server-side rendering? Yes. What about Vue? I think Vue has also something. Isn't it called Nuxt or something? I don't know what Nuxt exactly is, but I think it's zero configuration. Yeah, file system routing. So this already sounds like SSR. Rendering modes, static side. I think it's Nuxt. And quick quick, yeah, I mean, they don't really do a classical SSR, they do resumability, which is again a bit different, but yeah. So let me open that. Documents, code, private, A17 SSR. So now the cool thing is, in the past, if you were using Angular Universal, you would start with a normal application and then you would do ng add, ng universal or something. And then you have this express service and you can build your application for, basically you can start with the dev server and you can start it as SSR and so on. And now this is all done. So if you just go ahead and start that, ng-serve, this is already doing SSR. And how can we prove that this is SSR? So this doesn't normally looks better, right? That's because of my dark reader. So actually it would look like this. So how can we prove that? Well, let's go ahead and also our previous application. Let's quickly start that. Why do you always want to go to node modules? Okay, so we have port 5000, so this is not SSR. So right, so if we would go here inside settings, you can somewhere here is disable JavaScript. Somewhere. Enable disable JavaScript. But that's only debugger. Now if I refresh that, nothing happens, right? And the reason for that is because Angular now sends the HTML, or the server sends the HTML with an app root tag, and Angular tries to hook in and then builds the DOM from there. But since we don't have JavaScript, this doesn't work. Now let's go with the SSR and also disable JavaScript here. So if we do that, everything still works, because what we get back from the server is the already rendered HTML. I mean, Quick is built fully around the idea of returning HTML and sending JS only when needed. Yeah, they do it lazy to a degree where I don't know if it's still like, because they even lazy load click handlers and stuff. But they still have some cool ideas, especially resumability, that they have the whole state of the application encoded in the HTML. So it means if I would take the quick page, like here, if I would do like inspect, and that would take basically the whole HTML. Like, I don't know if I can copy this, the whole code. And I have filled in forms and I would send it to your laptop. You could paste it in and continue where I was and it would work. And that's a pretty nice approach, but yeah, so that's SSR that we have now out of the box there in Angular 17, which is pretty nice. Also, I guess that we have the provide client hydration out of the box there. So that's somewhere in app config. Yeah, this was dev preview in 16. If you want to know what that does, I have made a video where I demonstrated that somewhere. This one. Thailand. So exactly. So for everybody that wants to know more about hydration, this video will explain it. But basically the idea of hydration is the process where you send, so you send HTML, maybe we do a quick Excalidraw for that. Yeah, do it. So we have our client. And we also have a server. Now what is going to happen in a normal, like in a non-SSR? So you make the request, right? And what you get back is a index.html. Oh shit. Index.html, right? And in this index.html, what you probably would see is something called, I mean, we can check it here. So we have it here. Let's go to network. Right, so that's what you get back. I still don't know how to bump the console, but let me just quickly copy that, go here and do a scratch file. So this is what we get back from a server in like a normal scenario, right? So non-SSR. And as you can see, what we get back is this app root tag. And now what is going to happen is on the client side, there is a hydration process, which means basically Angular kicks in and starts. So somewhere, I don't know how to visualize that, but it means here, once we get that back, here we would have, oh, I'm a bad drawing. What? Do a text. Angular kicks in. So Angular starts, basically he knows, and that's what you see here in the main TS in the Bootstrap application, right? You see the app component, so this tag here, this app root has to match what you have in the index.html, this one. If this doesn't match, nothing happens, right? So now Angular kicks in and sees, well, there's the app root. Okay, that's my point. Here I go. And then Angular starts building the application. He knows app component, then uses the control flow component and whatever, and starts bootstrapping and building up the whole page. And that's kind of like hydration, because you can think of something that is like very skinny, and you can see it with the UFC fighters, for example. Have you seen McGregor? Never thought that I will do web dev analogies with UFC fighting, but you know that when they go to a fight, they usually have to basically they have to be on point with 140 pounds or whatever weight class they fight. And then what they do, they go through a crazy dehydration process where they basically go into camps and sweat off the whole water, and it's really dangerous because some almost die. And then they are very light on the day of the weigh-in, and then they make the weight, and then they go back and they start drinking and taking water again, and then the next day they are way heavier when the fight actually happens, and they gain an advantage by being heavier in the cage. So, but as you can see, this is basically what comes back from the server, right? And this is then what Angular does. So it's 1 day difference here. But basically the idea here is that when you are on the server, you only get back like a dehydrated version, and then Angular kicks in and hydrates the page again. I don't know if that makes sense or if it was a stupid analogy, but here app root is basically dehydrated. And now you hydrate and you start to do that. Now in the SSR scenario, there was the thing that let's see what we get back here. So if you rerun, let's check the HTML here. You can see that this is different from that, right? Just by the amount of lines that you see. There's way more in. This is a page, right? So if you would go and just copy that, do that, I don't know, let's quickly do here a new file, index.html. And we would run that with a dev server, and I think IntelliJ has a built-in dev server. You can see what we get. That's the page, right? It's pre-rendered, it's already there, the HTML is constructed. All good. So we can run that, but now still Angular kicks in. And what was happening in the past is Angular was coming, so we got that, and that was important for search engine optimization because the search engine sees everything that is inside here. But Angular was still, well, here is app root, and here I go and start, and was throwing away the whole HTML, so all this content, he was throwing away and rebuilding, and that caused a flickering. And now with the provide client hydration, so basically by adding this line here, Angular is reusing what he has there and basically just adding stuff that is dynamic. So if you would have a HTTP call that was just client-side or some client-side logic, this will happen with the provide client hydration. So that's kind of the idea here. And with A17, this is all enabled by default. Yeah, so they have SSR. I'm still wondering about SSG. How to pre-render a page, yeah. We can do, let's see. So basically SSG is probably just building. That's the normal one, that's the SSR, no, that's the SSR. So that's build, and that would actually be SSG. And I guess if you have some for further details, what? Because I think I had that error already once. Because we just generated the page, we didn't change anything, right? What did we do in the Angular JSON? Okay, whatever. But this is a build out of the box. This has to work. So let's see again. Let's go one up, because I would imagine that if I generate, maybe I have to add some config, but let's remove that project. Let's go and get the latest Angular CLI. New A17 SSR, whatever, yes, server-side rendering. And then we should be able to build that, right? ng-build should work. Build options for pre-render. The application build pre-render option can be either Boolean. Yeah, so there you can basically pre-render, because imagine you have some routes that you want to pre-render. So for example, different customer profiles or whatever. And maybe we have to do there something. Yeah, so it seems like if you just generate a A17 project and you want to build that, it doesn't really work. Okay, there I'm a bit surprised. So let's see. That's the wrong A17 SSR. So okay, he was capable of adding the new one. So that's surf SSR A17 SSR. That's really like if you build it. We'll test it on my computer. Yeah, I'm curious because this I would expect that it works. But we use the build Angular application discover routes false. So that's in the Angular JSON. Build Angular application options. Yeah, maybe we have to do it for pre-rendering. You probably have to configure it. Pre-render. Discover routes. Works on my machine, really? What's going on here? Really? Is it something in my terminal maybe? Also, what is in the Angular log? Like, if I take that. Okay, I have no idea what is wrong here. But thanks for trying that out. Because Angular dev kit build Angular. Load the register hooks. Maybe, but I don't see how. Let's again remove the node modules. Install again. But I don't see how this makes a difference because now... Okay, I don't know. Node module register is not a function. I have to check that. Yeah, that's what I did. Remove node modules, remove the package log, maybe go with like latest everywhere. Then also usually you have this .angular, which is the cache. Yeah, but this should be working, so with npx angular CLI, okay. Let's see, we can test that as well. Because this... Latest new test. Because this has to work. But that would be SSG. So I guess then I would want to check out the build directory, but I guess you get a bunch of HTML files. Yes, I want that. Ah, test me. That's also something if the path is already occupied. It would be cool if you notify me earlier and not let me fill out the whole wizard. And then that would be a nice improvement, I would say. Maybe node. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Node version. That's a very good point. I even have like this node compatibility with Angular. I think there's a table, which is this one, 17 node 1820. But I'm on 23. And this is 29, right? Yeah, maybe it's the node version. Maybe I'm too far. I guess it's the node version. So how was it? Brew, unlink, node. Oh. And brew, link, now maybe I will do, what did it use? Node 18. To force minus minus over right node minus v node 18. Nice. So private A17 A17 SSR. So now, so we have node modules. Let's see. Thank you, Risley. Thanks so much. Oh my god, cool. Because now we have a dist folder and we have the SSR, and here we have the browser, and we only have like index server.html, but that's basically all server side. Pre-rendered routes JSON, right? So I guess let's go ahead and maybe generate a bunch of features, like 2 lazy loaded feature routes, and then we will see. Yeah, nice catch, Drizzly. Really nice catch, because I'm so stupid, because last Tuesday I was in a meeting where we discussed about the node compatibility with Angular, because we have the centralized Slack team that has that is responsible for the node versions and maintaining them, and they were even mentioning that some versions don't work with Angular, but somehow there's so many things going on. But that's a really nice catch. So now I also wanted to see if with Angular 17, if it now can see, say, ngg, there was component, because can we generate a lazy loaded component with schematics, because we could do so with modules. Is there a minus minus route option that's still not there? Because if you do this, ngg module minus minus help, what you can basically say is there is these routing options, create a routing module or a route. For prod repos, I highly recommend tools like NVM. Yeah, I was also using NVM for quite some time, but here somehow I just did it with the brew. I don't know why, but I used the NVM in the past. Don't know why I don't use it, because it's a cool tool. So yeah, this is some option that I still miss when I generate like lazy loaded modules, because I would want to have minus minus route, but that's not an option on the NGGC. So features, foo, then let's do a bar. This should be standalone by default now in 17. I would imagine that they are standalone by default. Yes, they are. That's also one of the changes that they did there. Then I'm supposed to work. Sure, like, just keep working. It's a playground, we want to have fun and check stuff out on a new setup. Yeah, that's true. It's really playground here. So I feel so bad if I keep you guys from working, like I feel bad. Okay, so we have those features, bar component, full component, but of course we manually have to add them to the routes, right? So that's a bit annoying. Maybe we should have like, I mean, it's not so bad if AI is kind of there. Load component, and then how is it? Load components, it's like this somehow. I think this, I don't know it by heart. I don't know it by heart. unfortunately. So I quickly have to check, because usually blah 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 blah, load component, yeah, I load import, it's import, yeah, that's the thing. .then, and then we have, now it's good. So features foo, foo.component, and then we have C, and then it's C dot foo component, right? And what is the issue here? Load component. Isn't it like this? Load component, import, then works on my machine with no 2010. Really? Okay. Because this I think I'm missing something here, because I thought it's load component features, base component. The import is a new arrow function. Aha, is it like is this a function that like this? Thank you. Somehow I always started with a project that already had route, and I never wrote that from scratch. But now we have that, and we have in our app component, we have a div. Let's go here quick and dirty, like background, I don't know, let's go with a color like this. We go a bit more like darker, background black, and height 60 pixels, display flex, align item center. And we have like a link, router link, which you import, and that will be foo bar bass, right? npm run start. Abdullah Fal, hi, welcome to the stream. Wow, we have foo bar bass, but we don't have a router outlet. Also, probably we should do like some where am I? Gap of 20 pixels, maybe something like that. Whatever. Quick and dirty, as I said, router outlet. So foo works, bar works, bass works. Cool. Anyway, what we want to see, the build. Where you host your applications blogs, do you use some popular providers or buy your own and set it up there? So I personally, I host my blogs now on angularexperts.io. So I have like the Medium blog, where I basically started writing. And on Medium, basically, you don't have to do anything, right? You just start, you write your blog, And then you have your blocks there. Oh my god, I've written a lot. Jesus. Yes, oh my god. So December 2017, I was writing my first blog. Display karma test results in Jenkins. Does anybody out there still use Jenkins? Oh my god, and then even look at those screenshots. What a horrible blog, but whatever. This one is one of the blogs that has like an insane amount of views. It has 3.4k claps, but I think the views on this one are insane. I don't remember how much, but there were some crazy story stats. So, but yeah, I started on Medium. Nowadays people do a lot on dev.to, right? And basically now I transition to AngularExperts.io, and AngularExperts.io is a site we build ourselves, and there we have like blocks. That's everything that you see here is like custom build, right? We built that from scratch with Angular. All the features like this, highlighting the progress bar, everything that you see here, the menu, it's all built by ourselves. The whole theming here, the theme is done by ourselves, so that's my Skull theme that I created myself. And we also integrated the scheme not only as a JetBrains theme, which I'm currently using, but we also integrated it on AngularExperts.io so that we have the code previews in that theme. So there's a lot of work that goes into this, but that's basically where I do the blog post. So I have Medium where I still post, but main focus or main site is now AngularExperts.io, where the newest blog posts come out. And there we also have quite some already. It's cool. Modern Angular filter, nice. Yeah. So that's basically how we do it. But I would say if you want to get started, depends on what your goal is, to just share the knowledge. So I started like nothing in terms of building a brand or stuff. So I just started like, I want to share my knowledge, get it out there, see how people react. Maybe it helps people, like, because I thought I figure out cool things. How about sharing them with the world? Like maybe it helps somebody. So I just started like blogging with something that is already there. So I would go with an existing platform if you want to start blogging, maybe dev.to. That's currently pretty known. Yeah, and then go from there, right? Because otherwise you spend like a lot of time building a blog. But if your goal is to start blogging and building a brand, then maybe build your own one. Yeah, so we have now built this. I know a few companies still using Jenkins. Oh my god. Last time I heard of a meetup where there was still presentation about AngularJS and how they were fixing some crazy issues with AngularJS, and like I think the idea was to present it as an attractive employer or somehow, but then still, if you are still, how to say, it's okay if you still have AngularJS, but I think the idea should be for you not to improve AngularJS or crazy new libraries for AngularJS, but you should really try to go forward to Angular. Insurance company for 500. I don't remember exactly which company it was, to be honest. I just heard from a colleague that he was somewhere on a presentation. So now you see how we get multiple pre-rendered. So this is SSG. We get index HTML for each route, where we have basically everything that is in there. So somewhere we should have bar. That's the router link. You can see how the whole app is basically built here. Bar works. So that's basically that one, right? So you can see that we have SSG here. So this is basically index HTML for bar, for bass, and for foo. So we have pre-generated sites. So if you would go to /bar, you would get that back. And that's SSG. And here we have SSR, where we could spin that up on a server and then just surf that. So if we would go here, let's say we would go to our page /bar, what we would get is this. We don't get the style sheets, that's still something we would have to fix, but it's probably also our local server. But you get the server-side render. No, that's actually the style sheet, it's just the dark reader. So it's all correct. But this is SSG. And that's now all there out of the box, which is pretty nice, I would say. So that's super cool. And then you can see that he can discover routes false. So whether the builder should process the Angular router configuration. So let's see what will happen if we just disable that. I guess we don't get bar, bass, and so on. So if we would go to our Angular JSON, that's the builder here, and how was the config? Options, pre-render, discover routes false. Let's turn that off. Let's build. Now I'm testing to run Byte with Nest.js and Angular 17 SSR. I was able to run Nest.js with NX After I confirm the result, I will share it with you. So basically the Byte or wheat, I think it's called wheat because it's coming from the French, which basically I think means quick. If my French is still okay, et je pense que je parle un petit peu français. So that's wheat, French, quickly. Yeah, so it's still good. So if you use the new ES build, it already uses wheat under the hood. So that should already be there. But I don't know if you're speaking also about wheat testing. Running Nest.js is the new SSR, is also my to-do list. That would be also a cool stream, maybe. That could be an interesting topic because... Okay, we have pre-rendered still the same discover routes. I don't know if this is more like for dynamic routes. We could still play around with that, but for now this still works. Discover route false. The path to file, that's here basically whether the builder should process the Angular router configuration to find all. Yeah, default true, but we... I would have expected build Angular application that if I turn that off, that those routes would not get pre-rendered. But why is pre-render also red? Architect, build, builder. Options pre-render. Discover routes false. I would have expected that those routes here wouldn't get generated like the index HTML for this. Fool. Because it says whether the builder should process the Angular router configuration to find all unparameterized routes and pre-render them. Maybe it's then he does it top level, I don't know. You probably need to delete this folder. I think I did that, but maybe I didn't. I mean, it's cool that it works, but I would still expect that it doesn't work if I turn this off. because you see we still get it, but also maybe, what about cache? You cannot imagine how many times I got like wrong results because of the Angular cache. Yeah, also with I-18N is also the question, which kind of solution do you use? Do you use the built-in solution, or do you use some dynamic solution? Like, because if you use the built-in one, I think you generate like multiple versions. You generate basically multiple versions of your application. So you generate a German one, a English one, a Italian one, and you reload them fully. But if you use some other library like Transloco or NX Translate or something, then I don't know how it works then. So AngularExperts.io is built with the official I-18N, and there we just have like multiple versions where we deploy. So we have not only the AngularExperts.io, right? So that would be the English build of the English bundle, and then we also have the .ch, which is a German bundle. Yeah, I don't know why this still works. But yeah, you can see SSG could be like a dedicated stream probably, where we just go through and check that out. Anyway, you can do SSG, you can do SSR, quite comfortable with Angular 17. Also, this is cool. If you have, for example, multiple products and you want to pre-render them, you can basically have the parameterized product file and then have a routes.txt which you reference in your pre-render option inside the builder. And then he builds those pages. So maybe that's then, I will write it down, that could be a cool stream, like maybe an hour or something, like SSG stream. Because I also don't have experience with that. Could be fun figuring out. Yeah, that's the new Angular SSR package that we have seen. Virgin Media O2, whatever that is, observed a 112% increase in sales after moving to the latest Angular hybrid rendering solution from the legacy platform. That's insane. That's a crazy number. Yeah. By using ng-optimized image alongside Angular SSR with DOM hydration. That's cool. O2 can do. Wasn't it the sponsor of Arsenal? And I think it was sponsor of Arsenal Football Club. Now this I'm pretty interested. Deploying your app with SSR, because I've never actually, I mean the AngularExperts.io is not really SSR, that's SSG. So you just upload the folder to a bucket and then you just deploy that, right? But real SSR, where you have a server running. To further enhance, let's see, Firebase will now automatically recognize and deploy your Angular application with a near zero configuration with the early preview of its new framework-aware CLI. So let's see. Let's see if we can deploy this page. I am curious. So, do I have Firebase CLI here? Firebase -- version. Firebase CLI. Install the Firebase CLI. Oh my god, I have to quickly quit the dark reader. Yeah, copy. Yeah, SSG is superior to SSR, yes, for blocks. I'm still wondering how basically now we have this improved SSR story, SSG story here, right? And on the other side, we still have analog.js as a meta framework. And I'm still wondering how analog is kind of fitting into the big picture. What does it offer? I know it offers file-based routing, and also some easy access to the server where you can basically have something that gets loaded and you can easily execute server code there. So you don't really need an API, I think. But what is the big benefit of analog? That would be cool maybe to also speak once to Brandon about analog. Oh, maybe. Yeah, so Firebase management version. Okay, we get Firebase now. Because I was not aware about this feature. Let's see. Can I paste them all together? Enabled experiment project setup. Please use an existing project. Let's create a new project. A unique project ID A17 SSR. Yes. Creating Google Cloud Platform project. Oh, let's see if that just works. That would be amazing. Yeah, it's not so easy to distinguish because I kind of got it when Angular wasn't yet there with the SSR story, that you kind of have that, but now, I mean, it's not just like analog itself also provides some great plugins for detected an existing Angular compass. Should we use this? Yes. Wow, this is nice. So it also has some great plugins to use, for example, Angular with Astro, for example, because Astro itself doesn't provide support for Angular. Let's go to Europe West. Set up automatic with GitHubs. Oh, wow. Yes, let's try that. Authorize. Wait. Organization. Why do you want it on? Aha. So I'm still. Aha, okay. Okay. Authentication code. Cool. So far I like that. So we probably have to do like a repo, right? Because I didn't do a repo yet. I understand that rendering engines like Reactivity technically are frameworks. Yeah, they want. I mean, React itself says always, we are a library, not a framework, but yes, they are frameworks. Need a framework on top, yeah. But analog.js is just, yeah, it's just, and now, curious about the 3 dots. Tayamba, welcome. Yeah, saw your response on the poll yesterday, so thought like, cool. Also, for those who don't know, maybe you've seen the Buttery Smooth stream that we did with the Buttery Smooth library. Tayamba was the guy who gave the name. Yeah, I'm curious what the 3 dots will be. So A17 SSR, so probably we first push that. Not good at pasting. Good, here's the code. So let's say A17 SSR format user repository. So that would be, oh no. This is so annoying that it breaks the next line. Retrieving a service account. Okay, if this works, that's cool. Set up the workflow to run a build script. Yeah, do that. npm run build, I would say. Yes, wow. What is the name of the GitHub branch? Main? Wow, does this really work? That would be amazing. Yeah. Unable to build production. So we have this A17 SSR. And now did something happen? Like, proceed with caution, file a bug. Node.js version is 16.16 detected. Where? Is that... I mean, I have node 18 here. Is that the node? I have no idea what he did now. Firebase CLI reference, go to console. Is that even the right profile? Probably not. Probably I have to go with that, I guess. Angular 17 SSR. So it already generated the project, but now Spark plan. I have zero clue about Firebase, right? So web. Let's see what they say in the Angular blocks. So you do that. Image optimization. Aha, you need to have Angular Fire enabled. ng deploy. The framework aware CLI, yes. To enable deployment to edge workers. Okay. ng add Angular Fire, ng deploy. Okay, I'm not sure how to do that, but this should be somehow possible. Übersicht. Because I thought that he will also add some GitHub workflows or something, right? Because we don't have any GitHub workflow here. And there I would see how he has the wrong node version somehow. But I don't see anything of that. So A17 SSR, documentation, thank you for, we'd love to learn from you, node version V16 detected. Yeah, I don't know if they... I'm not sure. I use Node 20, yes. I'm just curious why he thinks that, because if I do Node -v, I also get Node 18, Firebase, CLI. Node version mismatch log, possibly incorrect. Yeah, I also think it's the Firebase node version, but how do they... Can the Firebase CLI? Or is it then online somewhere on Firebase? I don't know where I can bump the Firebase node version. No idea. NG Rome Summit is live. Nice. I think there are some cool speakers there. But anyway, so let's continue here because... But generally I find it cool that if you have SSR and they offer a nice built-in way to deploy your application. Something like node version in the root. In the root of what? Because I'm still on 18. Yeah, now we got also two new lifecycle hooks, after render, after next render. So they are especially cool if you have like server-side render, because if you use after view in it, that also runs on the server. But after render and after next render only run in the client. So this kind of runs once after this name is very confusing, after next render, but it basically means that it runs once after the application finishes rendering, right? So there you would usually do stuff that you do once, like setup and tear down logic of external libraries. And the after render runs after each change detection run. Yeah, so they will only be on the browser, and you do them in the constructor. In the future, we might write all of our life cycles in the constructor. The project you deploy to Firebase. So that would be the project I want to... Ah, you see. Here he did the workflows, okay. And here, inside here is probably the wrong node version. Pull request, because there is somewhere in... Now it makes more sense. GitHub action set node version. Yeah, there is usage with node version 18.x. Something like that. I guess that we have to add here node 18. YAML, I hate it. I don't know who came up with YAMLs. So, and now if I want to do that again, what was the command I was running? Firebase deploy. Let's see. I need to go. Have a great day. Until next time. Yeah, looking forward. Thanks for joining the stream and for the great feedback and the great comments. Please update your node version. A17 SSR build production. So that's probably the package JSON. Yeah. So let's push that. So let's see if that happens, if there's something going on. So then we have the Vite and ES build, our default for new projects. That's pretty interesting because we switched. You can also use it with Angular 16, it was dev preview, but we switched for bigger applications to Vite and ES build. And basically we got around 60% build time improvement. So that's something I can confirm from like using it in practice, which is amazing. There was also a scenario where it's actually a bit slower, and I think that was like cold start or something. It was slower than Webpack, or there was one scenario where it was a bit slower than Webpack, but it's a scenario that rarely happens. Yeah, here, Legacy Builder, I think that's pretty much what we've also experienced. So these are real, those stats are real. Dependency injection debugging in DevTools. So I've never used the Angular DevTools, to be honest, but maybe it's time to do so. So we have localhost 4200, and now I think that's a Chrome extensions Angular DevTools. Let's go, let's go. Probably this one. Oh no, I have it. I probably just don't have it enabled, right? So now, what can the Angular DevTools do? What? This page is not using Angular, really. Let's go with a non-SSR. I use Docker for testing before deploying. Yeah, Docker is cool. I'm not a Docker expert. So, what was it? Open developer tools and select the Angular tab. Now here we go. Those are the Angular DevTools, so we can see how we have the full component, the injector tree, which is now probably new. So you have the, those are the different injector, right? You have the null injector, then you have the platform injector. The platform injector is the one you want to use when you use web components. Then you can inject services here, and then you have the root injector. And then you have some stuff here, but let's say we want to do something that is... For me, it didn't work with SSR. It's interesting. So let's say I have the foo component and I have, I don't know, so let's say I have some service which has a prop, some service, and I do here inside foo, I say private some service. Inject some service, nice. And then we do probably not private. So now how does this update injector tree? So we have now we have the foo component. But I would expect that's element hierarchy. Components, profiler, injector tree. So that's just the elements. But can we also see the service? Injector tree, so that's basically new. Providers for app to do component. Okay, that's environment injector. So I'm wondering where can I see here I see everything that is provided in root, and probably I can also see my some service here. That's the some service that we provide in root. Some service. What's that? Log provider in console. Okay, so we get the some service and we get everything. Now let's say our some service is not provided in module. It's just an injectable. And then we say we have here a providers array where we have the some service, and we provide it on the component level. Now how does it look like inside our injector tree? Nice. Is view provider. Okay, so you get basically the injector tree of the elements, and for each element you can see what you provide there. That's helpful, right? I think that's helpful. They also have like some profiler components. So we can record, and there we can see dependence injection cycles and so on. I think that's cool. I should use that more often, probably. I'm curious about this profile, how it looks like. Let's wait for the profile. Then what we've seen is with Angular 17 you get the standalone APIs from the start. So when you do ng generate, whatever you do ng generate component, it's standalone by default, which is great. We'll keep ng modules for the foreseeable future, but seeing the benefits of the new standalone, yeah, we strongly recommend you to move to them gradually, which is great, yeah. There's even the schematics, but these schematics you probably have to run in multiple goes. So first you will convert to standalone, then you will clean up necessary modules, and last you will target the routing. So you have to go with multiple steps. Next steps in reactivity, Angular signals. For now we'll keep the effect function, yes. Under developer preview, okay. Today we're happy to announce, so signals are stable, but the effect function itself not yet, because they are still continuing to make updates on the effect function. Signal-based, in the next couple of months, we'll start landing features such as signal-based inputs, view queries, and more. By next May, we'll have a lot of features that further improve. That's cool. I'm really looking forward to this. Next step on testing. So we're continuing to experiment with Chest and make sure we build a solution which is performant, flexible, and intuitive enough to meet developers' needs. We're also starting to experiment with Web Test Runner and have an open PR. We will likely focus on Web Test Runner. Cool. Eager to move off Karma, which is great. I already have a project in mind where this can be trouble, because we have some UI libraries which heavily rely on DOM testing, so this can be like a huge effort for us, I think. Material-free design tokens, that's cool, so that's not yet there. Quality of life improvements, view transition support. So that's amazing, that's an amazing feature. So basically the feature, let's go to our SSR function. Let's go ahead and start that. Before we do that, I'm also curious if something happened on our push, because we now push the workflows. So we see that the workflow is not running. Run build. Engine not found. Yeah, because we didn't install node modules, right? Probably we'll fix it. But yeah, let's focus on the view transitions. So basically we have routing enabled, but now we don't have any kind of effect. But if you come and you do app routes or app config, provide router, then what you can say is on the features with view transitions. So you just drop that in. And now you can see how we have a small transition on bar and foo. I don't know if you can see it, but what you can say is on the styles, we go to you and say view transition alt I think it's called like that. Animation duration like 2 seconds, and the same for new. Now you see how if you check bass and bar, if we click, you see how slowly it transitions, right? So that's view transition, and you could style them and you can drop them in on the router with one line. And if you would inspect the DOM whenever we navigate, you would see there this view transition tag added, right? And that's basically the sign that you enabled view transition. So that's amazing. Experimental support. So I guess many things are dev preview, but automatic pre-connect the image directive, that's a cool thing. The LCP image optimization, that's amazing. So LCP images is basically to improve the largest contentful pane. So if you, for example, check AngularExperts.io, if we have an image here we use the ng-optimized image, and in the ng-optimized image you can see that we provide multiple resolutions of that image so that the browser then can use that with a source set to figure out, so the browser knows which one would be the best for his current resolution, and then he loads that one and he doesn't have to scale it. So that's way more performant, and they now have improvements that basically they throw an error if you want to load something that is not there. Defer loading of the animations module. If you use the animations module, you can use provide animations async, which is cool. Input value transform. That's also a great feature because it allows you, let's say we have, let's go here to our foo component. So let's remove that. Let's say we have our bar component, right? Or how do we do it? Maybe even in A17 foo. Let's go to A17, let's go one up. Are we still serving? No. Pam, pam, pam. So here we have our deferrable view currently and our foo component. So let's say we have, instead of that, we have some new file, child component.ts, and we have a component. So we have the child component, right? And we want to display like a value, like child, like we can even call it is true. And that value would be a input value boolean, right? So we have our child component. We take that and we add it. Yeah, let's directly go to the app component, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Child component. So we go to app component HTML, and here we add child. And then we have the value, which would be true, for example, right? So cool. Is true, right? But what if I would pass in this? We get a compile error, but what I quickly want to show you is basically if this would be any. It would work, and we would still get true. What if we pass in false? We would get false, because it's now interpreted as a string, but it's not really a boolean. And if we just do value, we would get nothing. So with the transform, what you can do is you can either have a custom transform. So you could say here transform, and then you can have a custom callback. So you can say, well, to uppercase, for example. And that to uppercase can be to uppercase, which is a function that takes in a value and transforms that value to uppercase. So what we could then do, value, so my string, whatever. What is the problem? To uppercase. Function to uppercase. And there we get it. So we custom transform that, right? But what we can also do for Boolean values, there are built-in pipes. So there is or it's just called Boolean attribute, and that's provided by Angular. And what you can say now is, let's say we have a value which is false, and it would give us false, which is a boolean. And if we say true, it gives us true. But if we say falser, right, it will still give us true because there's a value. And the cool thing is here, you can just apply stuff like that. So is true is either like that, or we don't have it, and then it would be false. It's kind of cool, but somehow it's also, you lose the typing, right? And that's not so cool. But the Angular internally uses this in the router. And what you can do, we have written a module. If you would now say, well, this makes sense for our UI library or whatever, then you could come here to your project, and currently we broke the app component, but whatever. But you could say npx a transform transformer. We have a -- help, where you can see that we would basically want to enrich. So you can say we enrich all the inputs with transform boolean attribute and number attribute, or only the boolean attributes with boolean, or then only the number attributes with number. So you could say, well, -b. So we enrich all the boolean attributes. And now what this does, this code, look what it does. It imports the boolean attribute, and then it adds the transform boolean attribute here, which is cool. So I guess that's a new feature, a cool feature. Then style URLs can now be strings instead of arrays. That's amazing. And we have some great community schematics. They also teamed out with SoloLearn for new stuff. HTTP client can now use fetch as backend, so you probably have to do with HTTP client or something. Yeah, provide HTTP client with fetch, but I don't think we will use that for now too much. HTTP transfer cache, so some small improvement, right? Which I think are cool. So yeah, those are the main changes. Now let's see what happens to our deployment if there's something works. We still have to use an npm install. So let me quickly check on another profile how we did that with the GitHub Actions. Because we did it on release me daddy. We did that there, we did that there. Push checkout setup node. Install node modules. That's the one we are missing. That would be on 17 SSR. So I guess so. So let's go here, git status. That's the wrong project, by the way. Oops, that was the wrong command. So we did chore modules, npm modules, node modules in GitHub Actions. So let's push that. And let's see, I would be curious, or it would be so cool if this would work, because that's something that we, I think, still have open for release me daddy, because we still have 4 issues. One is customization script to make it reusable. Yeah, that would be a bigger one. Deploy showcase, generate alcov info. I think that I could solve, because I was reaching out to some other GDs, and we have to solve it with a custom karma config. And one would be to build the showcase and I would want to build it or deploy it SSR. So therefore I'm also interested in this story here. What? No such file or directory. So on branch we run that. Yeah, I mean, we don't have, I don't know if a GitHub token was generated. Was it? Maybe he did it. So Firebase service account. We don't have a GitHub token though. Okay, channel ID, project ID. But now he wants to run npm install somewhere. Let's see. So why was it failing? Because maybe we bumped it a bit. Home runner work A17 SSR. Why is it twice? Yeah. So you set up Node with version 18. We install the Node modules. Why are we... This should also be npm CI. Actions checkout. I mean, that makes sense, but are we doing something else here usually? Let's see. A17 SSR, so the release metadata there, because there we were executing it in the right directory. So that's workflows, branch YAML, okay. On push, why is it? Also not sure why here we have that. On branches main. This is called home runner work. I mean, let me quickly see, maybe we get here, maybe this path is even correct. Release me daddy. Okay, but install node modules, where do you do that? Because you see home runner work. Yeah, that's correct. I think the path is correct. But he says no such file or directory. The log itself comes out as long as serious. So they use checkout. Aha, because we never check out. Do we have to? That's the thing, like, I'm not sure if they generated like proper, because we don't check out, which could be a problem, because we just do stuff. What do you usually do first? You name, let's call this setup node. Is it like this? So let's see. At checkout. Yeah. I'm also curious if maybe SSR would be better. That would be maybe we'll do a dedicated stream on that topic, like how to basically how to deploy an SSR application. But still I want to, before I finish up the stream, because we are 2:20 in, I think that's good. So we have a new run. And now we fail. Okay, we passed those steps. Engine not found. Because what is now happening in installed modules? Okay, we get that. But maybe here something is wrong with the wiring up. But what if we do GitHub CI ng not found? Yeah, whatever, like, anyway, we basically covered all the Angular stuff. I would still be curious how to deploy SSR and SSG. There I'm curious. Maybe we'll do a stream on that. But I think for now that's kind of it. So yeah, again, shout out to the Angular team for this amazing release. It's an amazing piece of software. I don't know how they put out all those great features. And I think Angular is really on a great path, and I think the future is pretty bright for Angular. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we will leave it like that, and then probably do like a deployment focused stream, because I don't know how that works, or yeah, let's see. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining, and I hope to see you soon. I wish you a great Friday evening, Friday afternoon, depending on where you are, right? And also a great weekend. And maybe we'll see each other on the weekend. Let's see, if I have time, I will probably stream again. Yeah, otherwise, enjoy your afternoon, evening, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.